Verily I say, this is the day in which mankind can behold the face and hear the voice of the promised one. The call of God hath been raised, and the light of his countenance hath been lifted up upon men. It behooveth every man to blot out the trace of every idle word from the tablet of his heart, and to gaze with an open and unbiased mind on the signs of his revelation, the proofs of his mission, and the tokens of his glory. Great indeed in this day, the allusions made to it in all the sacred scriptures as a day of God attest its greatness. The soul of every prophet of God, of every divine messenger, hath thirsted for this wondrous day. All the diverse kindreds of the earth have likewise yearned to attain it. No sooner, however, had the day star of his revelation manifested itself in the heaven of God's will, than all except those whom the Almighty was pleased to guide were found dumbfounded and heedless. O thou that hast remembered me, the most grievous veil hath shut down the peoples of the earth from his glory, and hindered them from hearkening to his call. God grant that the light of unity may envelop the whole earth, and that the seal, the kingdom is God's, may be stamped upon the brow of all its peoples.
Yada yada hi dharmasya glanirabhavati bharata abhyuthanam adharmasya tadatmanam srijamyaham paritranaya sadhunam vinashaya kadushkritam dharma samsthapanarthaya sambhavami yuge yuge.
He who is the best beloved is come. He hath crowned himself with the glory of God's revelation, and hath unlocked to the face of men the doors of his ancient paradise. Let all eyes rejoice, and let every ear be gladdened. For now is the time to gaze on his beauty. Now is the fit time to hearken to his voice. Proclaim unto every longing lover, behold, your well-beloved hath come among men. And to the messengers of the monarch of love impart the tidings. Lo, the adored one hath appeared arrayed in the fullness of his glory. O lovers of his beauty, turn the anguish of your separation from him into the joy of an everlasting reunion, and let the sweetness of his presence dissolve the bitterness of your remoteness from his court. Behold how the manifold grace of God, which is being showered from the clouds of divine glory, hath, in this day, encompassed the world. For whereas in days past every lover besought and searched after his beloved, it is beloved himself who now is calling his lovers, and is inviting them to attain his presence. Hear me, ye mortal birds. In the rose garden of changeless splendor, a flower hath begun to bloom, compared to which every other flower is but a thorn, and before the brightness of whose glory the very essence of beauty must pale and wither. Arise, therefore, and, with the whole enthusiasm of your hearts, with all the eagerness of your souls, the full fervor of your will, and the concentrated efforts of your entire being, strive to attain the paradise of his presence, and endeavor to inhale the fragrance of the incorruptible flower, to breathe the sweet savors of holiness, and to obtain a portion of his perfume of celestial glory. Whoso followeth this counsel will break his chains asunder, will taste the abandonment of enraptured love, will attain unto his heart's desire, and will surrender his soul into the hands of his beloved, bursting through his cage. He will, even as the bird of the Spirit, wing his flight to his holy and everlasting nest.
Gloria sea a ti, oh mi Dios. Los primeros asomos de la primavera de tu gracia han aparecido, cubriendo tu tierra de verdor. Las nubes del cielo de tu munificencia han dejado caer su lluvia sobre esta ciudad, dentro de cuyos muros está encarcelado aquel cuyo es el deseo de la salvación de las criaturas. Por ella, el suelo de esta ciudad ha sido engalanado, y sus árboles se han cubierto de follaje, y sus habitantes se han alegrado. Los corazones de tus amados, no obstante, solo se regocijan por la divina primavera de tus tiernas mercedes, por cuya intersección los corazones son vivificados y las almas son renovadas, y producen sus frutos los árboles de la existencia humana. Las plantas que germinaron, oh mi Señor, en los corazones de tus amados, se han marchitado. Haz descender sobre ellos de las nubes de tu espíritu aquello que haga crecer dentro de sus pechos las tiernas hierbas de tu conocimiento y sabiduría. Regocija entonces sus corazones con la proclamación de tu causa y la exaltación de tu soberanía. Sus ojos expectantes, oh mi Señor, están vueltos en dirección a tu munificencia, y sus rostros están orientados hacia el horizonte de tu gracia. No sufran ellos, por tu generosidad, la privación de tu gracia. Potente eres tú, el poderoso, el que ayuda en el peligro, quien subsiste por sí mismo.
On April 22, 1863, Baha'u'llah had resided in Baghdad for nearly 10 years and had rehabilitated his followers. However, his enemies were able to convince Abdul Aziz, the new Sultan of Turkey, to remove him from the city and send him to Constantinople, Istanbul. A caravan had to be assembled before Baha'u'llah, his family, and entourage could attempt the 1,000-mile journey. When news of Baha'u'llah's departure for Constantinople had spread among the inhabitants of Baghdad and its neighboring towns, many people who had come to know Baha'u'llah as a loving friend wished to attain his presence and pay a last tribute to him. It soon became apparent that his house was too small for this purpose. One of the notables of the city offered his beautiful garden park, which was situated on the outskirts of Baghdad, across the river from Baha'u'llah's house. Baha'u'llah graciously accepted this kind offer and made preparations to cross the river. On the day of his departure for the garden, and before crossing the river, Baha'u'llah addressed his companions, who had gathered around him, saying, "O my companions, I entrust to your keeping this city of Baghdad, in the state you now behold it, when from the eyes of friends and strangers alike, crowding its housetops, its streets and markets, tears like the rain of spring are flowing down, and I depart, with you it now rests to watch lest your deeds, and conduct dim the flame of love that gloweth within the breasts of its inhabitants." Baha'u'llah was ferried across the river by his sons. On arrival at the garden, he entered a tent, pitched there by his companions, who had made preparations for his arrival. He was to remain in the garden for 12 days, and it was on the first day that Baha'u'llah made a great announcement. In that announcement, he unequivocally proclaimed himself as the one whose advent the Bab had proclaimed, for whose sake he had sacrificed himself, and for whom he had established a covenant with his followers. That day was one of the most eventful in the life of Baha'u'llah. The 12 days in the garden are celebrated by the Baha'is as the Festival of Ridvan. Baha'u'llah was joined by his family on the 9th day, and final preparations were made for the caravan to set out on the 1,000-mile journey. Of the exact circumstances attending that epic-making declaration, we have little knowledge. The words Baha'u'llah actually uttered on that occasion, the manner of the declaration, the reaction it produced, the identity of those who were privileged to hear him, are shrouded in obscurity, which future historians will find it difficult to research. The fragmentary description left by his historian Nabil is one of very few authentic versions we possess of these memorable days he spent in that garden. Every day, Nabil had related, ere the hour of dawn, the gardeners would pick the roses which lined the 4 avenues of the garden, and would pile them in the center of his floor of his tent. So great would be the heap that when his companions gathered to drink their morning tea in his presence, they would be unable to see each other across it. All these roses Baha'u'llah would, with his own hands, entrust to those whom he dismissed from his presence every morning, to be delivered on his behalf to his Arab and Persian friends. One night, he continues, the night of the waxing moon, I happened to be one of those who watched beside his blessed tent. As the hour of midnight approached, I saw him issue from his tent, pass by the places where some of his companions were sleeping, and begin to pace up and down the moonlit, flower-bordered avenues of the garden. So loud was the singing of the nightingales on every side that only those who were near him could hear distinctly his voice. He continued to walk until pausing in the midst of one of those avenues. He observed, consider these nightingales, so great is their love for these roses, that sleepless from dusk till dawn they warble their melodies and commune with burning passion with the object of their adoration. How then can these whom claim to be afire with the rose-like beauty of the beloved choose to sleep? For 3 successful nights I watched and circled round his blessed tent. Every time I passed by the couch whereupon he lay, I would find him wakeful, and every day from morn till eventide, I would see him ceasingly engaged in conversation with the stream of visitors who kept flowing from Baghdad. Not once could I discover the words he spoke, a trace of dissimulation. On the 12th day, Baha'u'llah and his entourage gathered for the journey to Constantinople, Istanbul. The departure of Baha'u'llah from the Garden of Ridvan at noon, May 3rd, 1863, witnessed scenes of tumultuous enthusiasm, no less spectacular and even more touching than those which greeted him when leaving his most great house in Baghdad. The great tumult, wrote an eyewitness, associated with it in our minds, with the day of gathering, the day of judgment. We behold on that occasion, believers and unbelievers alike sobbed and lamented as the party left for Turkey.
A prayer for assistance. Huvallah, ey kudretli, ben günahkarım, sen affedicisin. Ben hatalarla doluyum, sen merhametle dolusun. Ben günahımın karanlığına boğulmuşum, sen rahmet nurusun. Ey bağışlayan, günahlarımı affet, bağışını saç, kusurlarıma bakma, bana sığınacak bir yer ver. Beni kendi sabır ırmağına daldır, Beni bütün hastalıklardan kurtar. Beni arıt. Beni takdis eyle. Kutsal bağışlarından bana bir pay ver ki, üzüntü ve kederim yok olsun. Yerine sevinç ve neşe insin. Ümitsizlik, sevinç ve güvence dönsün. Cesaret, korkunun yerini alsın. Sen affedicisin. Sen merhametlisin. Sen bağışlayıcısın. Sen sevgilisin. Abdülbaha Abbas.
Oh my God, oh my God, unite the hearts of thy servants and reveal to them thy great purpose. May they follow thy commandments and abide in thy law. Help them, O God, in their endeavor, and grant them strength to serve thee. O God, leave them not to themselves, but guide their steps by the light of thy knowledge, and cheer their hearts by thy love. Verily thou art their helper and their Lord. Verily thou art their helper and their Lord.
حوالله ای یار روحانی آن یوسف اسرار به بازار در آمد. ای چشم تو روشن، ای چشم تو روشن، با روی منور، با موی معنبر، در محفل ابرار در آمد. ای چشم تو روشن، ای چشم تو روشن، با عارض چون گل، با ساغر پرمل، در مجلس اغیار در آمد. ای چشم تو روشن، ای چشم تو روشن، با نرگس فتان، با آن لب خندان، در منزل اختیار در آمد. ای چشم تو روشن، ای چشم تو روشن، ای چشم تو روشن، ای چشم تو روشن، ای